Welcome back to my channel. On this channel you find very simple but effective Psytrance tutorials. In this episode I show you how the different elements in my track work together and tell one story, like in a movie. And now I will show you how this works on my current project. Let's listen first to these two parts. They are both 16 bars. So this part is actually starting here. I only show you the last 8 bars. And this part is starting here. And it goes over here. So it's only the first 8 bars. And the reason I show you 8 bars from each is just that I want to show you that this concept applies on different parts of the track. So before we listen to this, my perception of A-B in a track is not as simple as there is part A and there is part B. I would see it more as a dialogue between multiple characters. You can imagine it like a movie or a theater play. In a movie you get a hero and you got other actors which interact with this hero, and that's the thing I want to show you here, the interaction between the hero and the other elements. And maybe you have an anti-hero, an antagonist which is playing against the hero, but basically it's like that. You have different characters which go into interaction with each other. And now we will take a quick listen to this project of mine. So the first thing I want to speak with you is the character of the elements. So as mentioned, we have one hero, so one main character. This one in this part here, it's this one, the FM hard. And on the other part here, it's this FM 222 resampled, it's acid-like sound. And we will give a quick listen to this. And to this one. So our main character is basically filling most of the space. Like in a movie, you see the main character most of the time. In this audio play, you hear the main character most of the time. The main character can change in those 16 bars blocks, so it can be like different ones on each block, and you can also take them over into another block and he may loses the focus. But for the 16 bars block, my concept is that we have like one main character, which is really the thing you can identify in this block. That's the reason why I showed you this too. That you see, it doesn't have to be the same over the whole track. You can have those small, I wouldn't say independent elements, because it's like a lot of like short movies which kind of give a full movie together again. Maybe like if you're watching a soap or something, it's an ongoing series of short movies where the next one picks up the one before. So as mentioned, the first thing we talk about, there's like one hero element in this short movie. Then the second thing I want to talk about with you is the character of the elements. So you have your hero and you don't want to have like 3 or 4 heroes. So the important thing is you need to notice is that this sounds different from the other elements. And I would go even further. I would say the best thing is if all the elements are not too equal. So if we listen, for example, in this second part here with our acid hero, listen if you notice there is a second element which is similar to this. I wouldn't say so. So in my opinion, this thing is really unique here. So we have this acid sound here, and then we have this one in the background, which has this bandpass spinner on it. It's kind of blurry. Then we have this bird chirps here. They're like very high bursts. We have this very harsh and resonant FM. And we have this very dark and growly FM. Or growly, I don't know. Let me know in the comments how to speak that. So, as you have seen, all the elements have a different character. Our main character is most prominent, and the other ones are just going into interaction with him. Which brings us to the last important part. As in a good movie, you don't have everybody staying in the same spot at the same time, speaking at the same time. Because then you won't have a great movie which tells a story, you just would have a mob of people screaming. So what we want to reach, and that's why I already expanded that here, is that you can see that the elements are not really playing at the same time. I mean, of course, there's like delay and reverb, but this makes the elements more weak and go more in the background. So it's, as in a movie, it's not that everybody's speaking at the same time, but it's also not that there's only one person speaking and then there's complete silence everywhere around, like in space. It's basically that you have some background noises. You may have, like in the movie, you have like cars, and you have a cafe where people are talking in the background, but you can hear basically like one element most of the time mainly. Sometimes they may overlap. It's the same as in a movie. Sometimes person A is speaking to person B, and then person B is just responding too fast and they go into a fight or something. So it's okay that they overlap, but you should aim for giving each element its own space. And if we take a look at this one is playing here, this one is playing in the gap, then this one is playing here, then this one is playing in the gap, then this one is playing here, then this one starts a bit later. So when this already has faded a bit away, then this one is playing here. If we look at the audio, you may see it, but it's not very big. Here is the main audio thing, and here, and then this one kind of comes a little bit later, and the same goes for this one here. It's kind of like filling the space in between here, and as mentioned, it doesn't have to be like abrupt that you only have A, then B, then C. They can have some overlap, and your task is to find a good story which lets them overlap in a way where it makes sense, where they don't conflict too much with each other. As I mentioned before, each element has its own character. So if you have maybe like a very bright element and a very dark element, then it's easier to let them overlap as if they fill the completely same space. The same goes for like left and right, or middle and sides, and other things. Or maybe if one is like very hard delayed and the other one is super dry, then it's easier to find an overlap as if they are sounding too much the same but not the same. It's a different story if you layer elements, but we won't talk a lot about this today, because if you layer elements, they are really playing at the same time, and the layers are giving like shaping like one character together. But as soon as you have like different elements, you wanna aim for their own space. So let's take a listen to this again. And this time, really keep attention on if you hear two elements conflicting, so that they play at the same time and they have two similar characters, so that they get into conflict. And to show you how this would sound if they would overlap too much, I wanna take two elements which are very similar, maybe this one, maybe our hero, and yeah, this one is good because those two are maybe the most similar ones. So if we take this one now and move this exactly in the spot of this one, then you will notice that this doesn't fit anymore. I get a feeling that this is now really conflicting with each other. Maybe not too much. It adds up. If you place more and more elements in the wrong space, then you will get this. Let's, for example, put this one also here, and maybe put the long note here, and then if we come from here. I think it's too much. So, as we had it before, this one is better. Then this is speaking, this one is speaking here, where this one is not there anymore. That's the thing maybe the people notice as a B. So we have this very strong elements. That could be the thing which you could call an AB. As I explained before, I don't think it's as simple as an AB, because it's more like an A, B, C, D, E. But you see this one is repeating in the first 3 bars, and this one is always coming on the fourth bar then. So that's maybe the thing people perceive as AB. But as explained, I think it's more complex than that, and in the end you wanna create a whole movie, a whole story. If you have very strong elements, this may work to have like less elements. But in general, you wanna fill up the whole frequency spectrum. You wanna fill up mids and sides. You wanna shape like different characters which all fit into it, to make a really living and vivid track which tells a great story and is not just like some boring 2-element dialogue. I zoomed out a bit of the project. As you can see, this is my lead section. Maybe I wouldn't call that one here a lead, but it's basically mainly leads here. And I got a little bit more on the top. I got my FX here. In this part, there are not many FX playing there. I just got this breathing here. And this one. But I want to show you that the same concept also applies to non-lead sections. In the non-lead sections, it may be a little bit different. You don't have that strong like hero element. Everything isn't as much in order. So for example, here on where my track starts, I got different FX interacting with each other. Let's just take a quick listen to this one. As you have heard, it's the same concept. You have elements with different characters playing at different times, and you want to combine different elements from like left, right, from front, back, from high pitch, low pitch, or dry, wet. So that's basically what you want to do. You want to tell a story with different elements, and each element has its own space, but they still leak into each other, that it makes a cohesive picture and not a stop motion. Let me know in the comments how you think about this and what's your way to let the elements communicate with each other, or if you have any questions to this. And here is another video where I show you how you can get more out of your Serum presets and create all the elements you need for your track.